Hello everyone, Monty here. Today I'm going to teach you how to make my whole wheat cinnamon date rolls. So I started making these when I started using the 2-ingredient dough again. I've been making bagels and pizza, and I started to experiment with trying to make these rolls because when I went to Europe I used to always love the muesli rolls. They were like these multi-grain rolls that were very crisp and crunchy, and inside were like what tasted to me like were different kinds of fruit and nuts, and I loved it. And so I wanted to kind of make a low-calorie version of it. And so I played around with it, and I think it's pretty good. I love cinnamon, I love dates, I love walnuts, so I put all three in. The one that I'm making today is gonna be 155 calories per roll, which is pretty good because they're a nice size roll. But that was with a very little bit of walnuts. If you double the walnuts, it would be about 167 calories, which still isn't really bad. I'm gonna make a frittata for brunch today, and I'll have a roll with it, and the whole meal will be with the nice big roll and the frittata, probably like around 500 calories. So let's get started, and I'll show you just how easy it is. I use the 3-ingredient dough recipe. I talked about this before. I use the 2-ingredient dough recipe, but I add the baking powder, that if you don't use self-rising flour, you have to add baking powder, which makes it 3-ingredient dough. But I'm also using a very healthy flour. So when I'm making bagels or I'm making the pizza dough, I'm now using the Caputo flour, which is all white flour. And so there's not really any nutritional value in white flour. And again, that refined flours and refined sugars and stuff goes right into your bloodstream and will create fat a lot quicker than something with the fiber in it, like a whole grain or a whole piece of fruit. And it slows down the whole process. Not to say that you can't get fat eating a lot of calories of whole grain foods, but it's the chances of you gaining weight with it are less because it's a time release process rather than getting flooded into your bloodstream with that sugar, right? Because carbs get converted into sugar in your bloodstream, right? But here's the flour that I'm going to use today, which is the Jovial. The lighting's kind of bad. The Jovial, I buy it at Whole Foods, and it's only like 300 calories for a cup versus 440 a cup for like the Caputo flour, right? So it's a big difference in the calories. Also, it's all natural, whole wheat flour, so I like that. I already portioned everything out. The 3-ingredient dough recipe is in equal parts of yogurt, equal parts of flour. So usually it's 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of yogurt to make like a pizza dough or 4 bagels or 4 rolls. But I'm gonna make 8 rolls today because my mom likes these a lot, and I'm gonna bring over some to her, and I love having these rolls during the week. So what I did was, we're gonna 2 cups, 2 cups. So it's 2 cups of the Jovial flour, which is gonna be 600 calories, right? Then we have 2 cups of the Fage yogurt. I always talk about this. You gotta use a non-fat Greek yogurt that's very firm, or the dough doesn't work, okay? So I always tell people that. So 2 cups of that is 240 calories. I have 14 grams of walnuts, which is 95 calories, 16 pieces of dates, which is 293 calories, but that makes the rolls taste so good. And then 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. We're probably not even gonna need that much cinnamon, but usually I use the shaker, but I wanna be more exact with you guys to show you what the calories are. So that all adds up to 1,241 calories. When you divide it by 8, it's 155 calories per roll, right? Now I also divided the walnuts up evenly into 8 stacks on the plate because I want to, the walnuts have a lot of calories, and so do the dates. So I sliced each date up individually, 1 date per roll sliced, and then I weighed the walnuts. It's my oven saying it's preheated. I weighed the walnuts, and then I just tried to, place them equally in stacks. So each roll, if I take this when I make it, I'm gonna show you, has the same amount of walnuts and the same amount of dates, all right? Because that's where a lot of calories are. So let's get started. Let me show you just how easy it is to make this. So we're doing our 1-for-1. Here is 2 cups of flour, and I'm gonna move some of this stuff. Get this out of the way. 2 cups of flour. 2 cups of yogurt. I just realized something. It's 2 teaspoons of baking powder for 1 cup recipe. I'm doing 2, so I need to get 2 more teaspoons of baking powder. I screwed up here, so let me do that. 2 more teaspoons. I just realized that's 2 here, and I already measured out 2, so that's 4, so 2, 2, and 4. And we're ready to mix the 3-ingredient dough, right? That's the 3 ingredients: baking powder, flour, and yogurt. And then I use a fork. I'm old school. I know people are saying, oh, you need to put it in your KitchenAid blender. Well, I don't have a KitchenAid blender. And this works for me, and I feel like if I do the KitchenAid blender, I'm gonna have to clean the blender, and I'm gonna have to clean the bowl and get the blender out, and then put the blender back, and so to me this is just easier. And don't worry, for the hygiene police, I did wash my hands, because I'm gonna be touching this right before I started this. It doesn't take too long to mix up the flour, even like with a fork like this. The problem is the flour is this is a much stickier dough if you're a baker than you're probably gonna be used to. And you gotta press it into the bottom to get the rest of the dough. And what I typically do, I'm not really ready for this video because I have a lot of stuff I don't have. So now it's kind of sticky. I'm just gonna finish it with my hands, and I'm going to knead it a little bit more. And it's almost there. Look how quick that was. It was so quick. Although we only have 15 minutes, so I better speed this whole thing up. So, okay. So now we have the dough all mixed up. It's pretty sticky. And what I do now is I have parchment paper on my counter. And what I do is I just take out the dough, and it's dusted with a little bit of the flour, and I kind of just roll it in there a little bit, get some more flour on it. And now I'm going to kind of make like a log, because I want to cut it into 8 pieces so they're kind of even. So easy to make this. Wait till you see this. I'm going to rinse my hands off too. That's important. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to eye it with, I have one of these like pastry cutters. I don't remember where I bought this, but you can buy it at your local supermarket. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this, I didn't do a good job in evening these out, so I'm gonna have to rearrange some of this. It's 8 different pieces here. And then I just basically will separate it, and I will try to figure out which ones are bigger, which ones are smaller, and then I make 8 balls. That's the best way to make them even, is you roll like balls with them. Like this one's really small, I can tell. This one's really big, so I'll add to here. And then once you roll out all the balls and get them even. So what I'm gonna do is in the interest of time, because I wanna be able to show you how to do all this, I'm gonna roll out these all even into 8 balls, and then I'll turn the camera back on. Okay guys, I just rolled them out into 8 equal sized balls. That takes a couple of minutes. You feel each one and you see how big they are, and you pull from one and you put to another. I also realized I forgot the egg wash I'm gonna put on top. That'll add another calorie, so it'll be 156 calories instead of 155. There's like 17 calories in an egg white, and you don't even use half of them to dust the top of it with, to brush the top of them with. But I'm just gonna show you real quickly how to do one in the interest of time, because I only have 15 minutes with these videos. So let's just take one, and I'll show you how I do this. So I have my walnuts and my dates portioned out here for each one. I'm gonna dust the area a little bit. I'm gonna be working on with a little bit of the flour, and I'm just gonna push into it, and I'm gonna kind of make like a round shape. I'm just gonna push down. Okay, see that, guys? So it's maybe be like, I don't know how to judge the size, but just make it big enough that you can start putting stuff in there. I'm gonna get a little spoon here, and we're just gonna sprinkle the cinnamon, a little cinnamon on there. And since we're not sprinkling it, you can move it with your finger and just add it in there and make sure you get the cinnamon everywhere. You don't need a lot. And then we're gonna take one of the stacks of the chopped dates and walnuts. Walnuts I bought already chopped, and we're just gonna put it inside. And probably there's only 2 little pieces of walnuts in here, so probably we need another one, but it would make it 160 calories. And then you just fold it on up to close it up so they're inside. So this is so easy. and then you turn it over. You could put a little flour in your hands, and then you just make a roll shape. And just make sure that it looks good on the bottom. Make a roll shape. I like making these round rolls. It reminds me of these muesli rolls I used to have in Europe. Every time I went to Europe, I would look so forward to this. And there you go. Then we take my little pastry brush. I brought this at my local Publix market. Most of the supermarkets have these little kind of pastry brush, and you just brush the top of it with the egg white. And that's it. And it actually smooths out any cracks you'll have. Sometimes if I have a big crack, I'll smooth it out with my finger like this one. And that egg white just helps like get rid of any of the little cracks. And now this is a beautiful round looking roll. So that's it. I'm gonna go finish the rest of these. The oven is preheated and I'm going to put it in at 350 for 23 minutes. And if they're not brown enough on top, I'm gonna turn it up to 400 for about another two or 3 minutes. Watch it. I've noticed that when I made rolls before, that kind of worked, and I read that somewhere. So when they're all done, I'll take it out of the oven. I'm putting it into a non-stick tray, but I'm just gonna put it right on top of the parchment paper here, okay? So as soon as it's already coming out of the oven, I'll show you what they look like. Okay guys, our timer went off. I actually cooked them for about 26 minutes at 350 and then 2 minutes at 400. They look absolutely amazing. I'm gonna go take them out of the oven right now. There we go, guys. They look so beautiful. And what's great about these rolls is they're filled with cinnamon, dates, and walnuts. They're so tasty. I'm gonna make a frittata, and I'm gonna have one of these rolls. Remember, 350 for about 23 to 26 minutes. You have to watch them, and then look at if they're brown. If they're not brown on the top, then put them in for another 2 minutes at 400. That's what I always do lately. And they look delicious. So I'm gonna go. Hope you guys enjoyed how to learn how to make my whole wheat cinnamon date walnut rolls.